Hello, this is Greg Sally and John Long, Managing Directors of Equity Residences. Welcome to our webinar today.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to start by taking you through an overview of the fund, some of our upcoming acquisitions. We're going to ask that you ask your questions at the end. You can actually ask questions along the way, and we may wait to ask them or answer them at the end during the Q&A session. For more information on the details of the investment, we have those in our offering memorandum, so please request that document from us as a follow-up to this webinar.
So thanks everyone for joining. Today we're going to talk about Equity Residences' innovative improvement investment model for luxury vacation residences. And I want to start by just articulating that what we've created is a real estate private equity fund, not a destination club. And if you'd really like to dig into the differences between our model and typical destination clubs, we have some great blogs on our website. So if you go to equityresidences.com over to the blog section, we've created some content to compare those business models. In our real estate private equity fund, we start with a minimum investment of $157,500. And with that investment, you join a limited partnership that owns the residences outright. So you become an equity owner in the homes without the hassles of home ownership. And that's the beauty of the model, is that we have created a model that's equity home ownership without the hassles, and that allows you to benefit from the appreciation of the assets. Our model sells the assets in 10 years, and you get a return of capital plus the appreciation from the growth of the portfolio over the term. Another benefit of our model is that we actually rent the properties to create income. And as a result of that, we have the lowest fee structure in the industry, because the rental income offsets the operating costs of the property insurance, the property management fees, etc. That model, I'm going to go through the timeline of Equity Residences. We launched our first fund in 2012. We closed that fund with 10 residences and 100 investors. We followed up to that in 2016 by launching our Fund 2. We currently have over 100 investors and over 21 million in capital raised for our Fund 2. What we're going to walk through, Greg and I are going to go through the homes in our Equity Platinum Fund portfolio, the upcoming portfolio additions. We have some exciting announcements of new properties to discuss today. We're going to go through our investment philosophy, our annual expenses and returns, how much you can save per vacation night, how you make money with us, how often you get to use the homes, and the equity experience when you vacation through our membership.
So the Equity Residences portfolio consists of currently 16 homes across our two funds. And as an investor in either of our funds, you can actually book any of the homes in the portfolio. But as John alluded to, and for those of you who've been following us for a while, you actually see two new dots on this map. We have homes under contract in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean, as well as St. John, which we'll talk more about. And we're expecting more announcements here in the coming weeks as this portfolio continues to grow and quickly passes 20 homes altogether. The current portfolio, our first 6 homes in the Platinum Fund portfolio include some really amazing properties, all the way from the Maunalani Resort in Hawaii, where we have access to a private beach club and we have sunset and ocean views over the golf course, to an amazing property in the North Star Resort that's ski in, ski out, again with a private club. All the amenities you could imagine in terms of pools and hot tubs and a basketball court, and just top notch. A property in Rosemary Beach, Florida, that's 100 steps to the sand, some of the most beautiful white sand and clear water you'll find anywhere. Beachfront in Costa Rica in a private gated community looking out at the ocean and the sunset. The Cap Cana Resort in the Dominican Republic, where we actually have an on-site staff. We're looking out across the golf course with ocean views. And a Siena penthouse in Italy that is in a UNESCO protected building from the 1500s. One of the nicest places you'll find in Siena, in the old walled city, with all the modern amenities, but all the history the moment you walk outside your door. We're going to talk about some of our pending acquisitions. We're really been focused on the Caribbean. We've got a lot of investor feedback to add additional homes in the Caribbean, so you'll hear more about that. We're focused on adding homes in Hawaii, and you're going to hear more about that. As well as Cabo, Mexico has been a really popular one for us for the West Coast. And beyond this, after we get past this next wave of acquisitions, we'll be looking at other opportunities in places like the Rocky Mountains, New York City, Europe, etc. This first home is one that we recently placed under contract, and it's truly sensational with turquoise water in every direction as you walk in. One of the most beautiful views you'll see as you walk into a home. You have direct access to the water, an infinity pool over the water, and you're on Turks and Caicos, so you can go to amazing beaches. There's some very close by and some in different parts of the island that folks love to visit. This is also going to be a great investment for us. Turks and Caicos is a high demand market. The Ritz-Carlton's going in. We feel like this property is going to do very well from an investment cap rate perspective, especially after we add 2 bedrooms next fall. And it's been one of our highest demanded places from our East Coast investors. Every year we do a survey, and they come back and tell us we really want to get an amazing property in Turks and Caicos, and we're happy to say that we're delivering on that. This next one is in St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands. This house is also waterfront, an amazing home, currently 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 5 minutes to the town of Cruz Bay, 10 to 15 minutes to the North Shore beaches and the national park. And for those of you who haven't visited St. John, it has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. 2/3 of the island is a national park, and you can actually hear the waves crashing right from the house. It's a spectacular property.
The next property is in Little Exuma, the Bahamas, and we are finalizing some due diligence on an acquisition there that would bring a 4-bedroom house that is oceanfront on Exuma. And as Greg articulated about Turks and Caicos, Exuma is similar. Amazing white sandy beaches, turquoise water. It's a boater's paradise where you can leave the main Exuma island, and the custom there is once you've brought your boat up to a deserted island or sandbar, nobody else will pull up next to you. So typically you can always have your own private beach whenever you go out and seek one. This house is situated on a private sandy beach on Little Exuma that's shared with only 4 other homes. So it's pretty special. It's a pocket beach that's protected, beautiful water, beautiful sandy beach, and again, pretty private with only 4 other homes on the beach. It's a great investment opportunity. We're buying below construction cost, inclusive of the improvements, in which we're potentially adding 1 or 2 bedrooms to the residence after acquisition. And it's a great investment with anticipated cap rate of 10 to 12%.
The next one is, turning our attention to the West Coast. We get most demand for Hawaii, and in particular in Hawaii, the island of Kauai, and on Kauai, Poipu. And so we're in due diligence on a property that's a resort property. It's a penthouse, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths with views of the ocean. It has resort amenities such as multiple pools, tennis courts, gym. You have a path to walk to the beach. And so this will give us more options in Hawaii. We actually have between the 2 funds, 4 properties in Hawaii already, including one on the north shore of Kauai, and this one would add the south shore of the Kauai to the mix.
This next property is another West Coast beach destination, this one in the Los Cabos corridor. What we're showing here is an illustrative property. We have several properties that we're completing due diligence on, from properties in Punta Ballena to properties in Puerto Los Cabos. The properties that we're looking for will end up being 5 to 7 bedrooms in the 5 to 6,000 square foot range. All with beautiful views of the Sea of Cortez. Both places we're looking will have access to private beach clubs, fitness centers, spas, etc. With strong investment, because the acquisitions that we're looking at are below construction cost, and with cap rates of 6 to 8 and upwards of 8 to 10+% with respect to partner usage and good rental income from when our partners are not using them. And again, Cabo is a top West Coast beach destination, similar to Kauai and Maui, that our investors have requested.
We had a question come in if we're using debt for the properties. So the fund is actually currently operating with no debt. And for this next phase of acquisitions, we're going to be buying those with cash. We have cash in the bank to fund these acquisitions. One of the things that gives us reach beyond anybody else out there is our affiliates. So we have 2 affiliates with the Platinum Fund. When you become an investor, you'll also have access to Elite Alliance, which is a network of luxury fractional resorts. These resorts are, I've stayed at a number of them. I know John has as well. They're amazing resorts with, often varying from 2 to 4 bedroom units. And then all the resort amenities in places ranging from, Bermuda to Italy to Bahamas to Cabo, just all over the world. And then we, in addition, have a affiliate, which is Third Home, which has thousands of homes around the world, which you can book. And really, between these affiliates, no one out there can touch our reach. And another big benefit is we have bonus use, which is in addition to the investment use you get with your investment. And that bonus use can be anywhere from 60 days out with Third Home, 45 days out with Elite Alliance, or 30 days out with our Platinum Fund homes, where you can actually book homes and take almost as many trips as your schedule will allow each year. And typically you'll find, nearly 300 to 400 weeks available on bonus use at any given time. And I've even used it for holidays such as Christmas, where I've stayed in the North Shore of Lake Tahoe Christmas week as just purely bonus use, or I've stayed in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands just after Thanksgiving as bonus use. So the value you can get is really just limited by your travel schedule.
Well, and I want to add that you see all these properties on here, including Four Seasons branded and Ritz branded properties, and these aren't out of reach. All of our equity residences investors who have attempted to take these trips have managed trips within these portfolios. And as an example, I personally stayed at Esperanza, where I converted one of my weeks in the fund for a week at Esperanza. Similarly, when Greg talked about space available, we've had lots of our investors use basically essentially a free week and stayed at the Ritz in St. Thomas, and that 7 nights in a 3-bedroom would typically run them only about $695.
There's a question that came up whether you need to pay to use the affiliates, and they do charge an exchange fee. It typically will range between $500 and $1,000 per trip. So for example, on the trip I took to the North Shore of Lake Tahoe, I stayed in a 3-bedroom, 4-bath for the week of Christmas. I paid an exchange fee of $800 for that stay, but that was a property that would have easily rented for $2,000 or more a night for the week of Christmas.
So one of the biggest questions we always get asked is, will the homes be available when I want them? And the short answer is yes. Our model, frankly, has the best availability in the industry. And contrary to what many people think, the fact that we have a rental model is what creates that better availability than alternative models. In our model, most of the business models in this industry reach about 65% occupancy across their portfolio. But in other models where you have all of your investors or members competing for that 65%, quickly the coveted holiday and spring break weeks get taken by their members or their investors. In our model, even though we'll be running at a 65% occupancy across the portfolio, really only 30 to 35% of those weeks are taken by our investors, where the rest we fill in with renters. We do that after our investors have already booked their spring break weeks or the holiday weeks they want. So when our investors are looking for spring break, they typically get the spring break weeks they want, and they're able to, if it's not in their current portfolio that they own, the Platinum Fund, they're able to get those weeks across our Villa Fund, since we have a great reciprocal process between the two funds. What you're seeing here on this chart is our partner portal, so we can do that all online through a tool where you can see real-time availability, make requests, see bedroom layouts, etc. And it's a process that works really great for our investors to get the weeks they want. Now, the next question we get asked a lot is, well, how often do I get to use the homes? And in our model, we're not just a 14-night or 28-night model. We use a credit system, and it's a credit system that was designed by industry experts that have figured this out through fractional real estate models, and it's the model that's also used at our affiliates, Elite Alliance and Third Home. So in this example, a 2-unit investor gets 280 annual vacation credits. What you can do with that, in this example, this 2-unit investor is going to take 4 weeks of vacation, and they're going to use 110 credits to go skiing at the North Star Resort. Now that property rents for around $2,200 a night during peak ski season. Then they're going to use 85 credits and go on a spring break trip in Costa Rica. Use 50 credits for a summer trip in Tuscany, in Siena, in our penthouse in the walled city. And then only 25 credits to take an early Christmas at Rosemary Beach. And you can see each one of those weeks has a very different credit value, and those credits are basically based on the value of that week. So typically at our properties, a Christmas week is going to be twice as many credits as a standard spring or summer week, and it allows our investors basically to choose their own adventure and decide when they want to travel. And then it's equitable because all of our investors are really getting the same amount of vacation value for their investment. Now, what's not shown here is that beyond these 4 weeks of usage, as Greg had said earlier, there's space available, and it's space available in our home. So, for example, in that Costa Rica property, if it's vacant 30 nights out, you don't have to use those 85 credits to book that property, and you only pay the visit fee, which is about $695 for that property to go spend a week if it's vacant 30 days out. And our affiliates, Elite Alliance and Third Home, have similar models that when there's vacancy less than 30 days out, you can book that by not using any of your credits. So this investor who took 4 weeks could easily have added 1 or 2 extra weeks on top of this if they had the flexibility to travel last minute.
So we had a question come up about how we're marketing our excess capacity. So when investors aren't in residence, we do rent out the homes to high net worth individuals. We use that income to offset operating costs, and it's what allows us to have the lowest operating costs in the industry and, frankly, have the potential to pay out dividends as well. So we use multiple channels. We use luxury retreats. We use Airbnb, HomeAway, etc. To fill that and get good utilization out of the home, but at the same time make sure the investors are able to enjoy the properties and get the weeks they want.
Thanks, Greg. So beyond just using our properties and using our affiliate properties for amazing vacations just in the residence, we've ensured that our portfolio is coupled with an amazing experience around that. One of those components is access to private clubs. So some of our homes we have negotiated, or they have come with access to private clubs. Our North Star Ski In Ski Out property is an example. All of our owners have membership to the Treehouse, which is a super luxury private club, mid-mountain, below the Ritz. Greg had already kind of articulated a little bit about that club. It's a great benefit for staying in that residence. Short walk from our house to use that club. Separately, our Cap Cana Resort property, we have recently negotiated access for our home to the Eden Rock Beach Club. So all of our investors are now members of the Eden Rock Beach Club, which frankly, it is the nicest beach club in the Caribbean. It is 5-star, over the top, amazing service, amazing private beach, great restaurants right on the beach. So you can take a short 3-minute golf cart ride from our house and then go get pampered at the Eden Rock Beach Club when you're not just lounging by your private pool. Similarly, in Montalani, our residence has access to the Montalani Beach Club, which again is a nice short golf cart ride away, and have access to this private club with an amazing quiet swimming beach that's perfect for kids. Then on top of just private club access, a lot of our international properties that we're bringing on board have on-site staff, which also add to that experience. I think my favorite one is in Cap Cana Resort in the Dominican Republic. We have an on-site casita at our residence with a live-in butler and maid, also with an optional live-in chef if you'd like to request that. That photo there is Augustine, our butler. He will take care of you hand and foot while you're in residence. And he's our caretaker as well, and he takes care of the house. But when you're in residence, he puts on a white coat and he waits on you and really takes care of you and your family with whatever you might need while you're in residence. In Akumal, similarly, we have an on-site casita with a live-in caretaker and maid. She's not a private chef per se, but she's also a cook. And if you'd like breakfast every morning prepared, Letty, our live-in caretaker's wife there, will make you breakfast every day or make you dinner. And she's a phenomenal cook and is some of the best huevos mexicanas and huevos rancheros that I've had. And her chicken enchiladas we serve upon your arrival dinner is also pretty phenomenal. And then kind of on the easier side, our Costa Rica house has a full-time maid. And that house is spotless 24/7 and just a nice amenity to have when you're in residence at Costa Rica.
We also have our own centralized concierge team that works in conjunction with our local concierge resources in each destination. And one of the things our concierge team does for each property is they put together a dream trip. So if someone told us they're going to spend a week in this case, the Big Island of Hawaii, and we were going to tell them what to do. We actually have a day-by-day itinerary, and these are just some of the highlights from the itinerary. But for example, on day one, we talk about snorkeling. You can either do snorkeling or diving with the manta rays, and I've actually done this. These manta rays have 6-foot wingspans and will come up and do belly rolls 6 inches from you. It's just amazing to see. You can look right into their mouths when they come by, and pretty spectacular. It's something for those of you with kids, I think your kids would love. In addition, another example we talked about earlier is the beach club. So the beach club, the private beach club we have access to, also has a restaurant there that serves food, cocktails. There's availability of different amenities like paddle boards, kayaks, etc. You obviously have lounge chairs and umbrellas available. Another pretty amazing one, and this will depend a little bit on the activity of the volcano, but you can actually go out, and depending on the condition of the volcano, you can watch volcano lava rock spew out into the ocean. You can see lava flows. There's a place where you go and you rent a bike, you bike out to where the lava is, and then you hike out the lava field. And it's pretty amazing to see, especially at night. We also have in-house amenities available, such as private chefs. We can pre-stock your groceries. We can arrange for in-house masseuse. So really, our team works with you to help design the best vacation that you can imagine and make sure you have a great time. So let's talk about the actual investment. So the fund owns the residences outright. We're not carrying any debt currently. Greater than 90% of the capital we raise is invested in real estate. Portfolio liquidation and profit distribution in a set time frame. So we're set to liquidate the portfolio in 2030 and distribute capital to investors. We do have the ability to do up to 2 years in extensions if the timing of the real estate market isn't right. you get to enjoy vacations for a couple more years, and then we'll sell the homes. We raise money from accredited investors, and we use cash to buy the assets. We can typically get better pricing with cash. We can get deals done fast when necessary. And no debt on the fund improves the economics and really reduces the risk for investors. We see this as more of a cash preservation play. In terms of how we acquire homes, we use and employ a variety of techniques depending on the circumstances in the market we're buying in. So in the case of when we bought our penthouse in Tuscany, we were buying at 15-year lows. This was because Italy in general took much longer to work through the foreclosure crisis, and specifically just around the time we were putting this under contract, the oldest bank in Europe, which is based in Siena, had to be rescued by the Italian government. It had an impact on the local economy, and we took advantage of a situation where a developer wanted to get out, needed to get the capital out of their last units, and redeploy it to a different opportunity. We also do opportunistic acquisitions. So in Rosemary Beach, Florida, this was a case where a seller was trying to complete a 1031 exchange, but they had it under contract with a buyer. The buyer couldn't perform. They were about to lose the property they were going to exchange into. So we agreed to an all-cash 9-day close in exchange for a $200,000 price reduction. We went in, we remodeled the home, and instantly built value into the acquisition. Another approach we've used is developer negotiations. So in Lake Tahoe, we negotiated price concessions, resulting in the net price of $2.95 million. And we also had extended closing terms of 6 months. Well, before we even closed on our home, 2 identical residences closed, one at $3.55 million, resulting in an immediate $600,000 gain for the fund.
So this next chart outlines your investment options. So as I had articulated earlier, you're making an investment to buy interest in a limited partnership. That interest is designated in units. Our minimum investment is 1 unit. That 1 unit is $157,500. You get 1 to 3 weeks of usage, and there's that range, again, based on that credit system that I've already articulated with respect to depending whether you're going Christmas week or you'd like to travel peak season or off-peak. That annual vacation value then for that $157,000 will be $12,000 to $17,000 in annual vacation value, with then annual fees from 0 to almost $3,000 per unit. It's $2,988 is the annual fees for that 1 unit. I'll explain in a few minutes about the difference between 0 and 3,000. You can then from there buy half unit increments. So a 2-unit investment is $315,000 that has 3 to 7 weeks. A 3-unit investment is $472,000 that'll have 4 to 10 weeks, depend on your usage scenario. But you can buy half units after that first 1 unit. Our average investment is between 1.5 and 2 units.
So while you're on this chart, one question we got is how many credits do you get with a different level of investment? So a 1-unit investment will give you 120 credits per year. Each additional half unit, and you'll note that you can do a 1.5 unit investment, a 2.5 unit investment. Each additional half unit is a 50% higher in price and gives you 80 additional credits. So if you jump all the way up to 2 units, you can see the price goes to $315, but the number of credits jumps to 280. So your credits have more than doubled as you've added to your investment.
Thanks, Craig. So this next chart just gives you an example. So for a one-time upfront investment of $315,000 for 2 units, you will get 3 to 7 weeks of annual usage plus unlimited space available. So there's a no annual fee option, so you can return half of your credits at every investment level and not pay that annual fee. So in that example Greg gave you of 280 credits for a 2-unit investment, if you returned 140 credits, you would pay no annual fee. You'd still have 140 credits to take vacations, of which that 140 credits could easily be 2 or 3 weeks of basically no fee vacations. So from that, you're going to receive $24,000 to $35,000 of annual vacation value and 9 to 12% annual return of investment. On top of that, we're making smart real estate investments that will both return your capital and have an appreciation. Our stated goal and our forecast is to do a 1.5 return of capital. So for every dollar you invest in the fund, our goal is to return $1.50 back to you when we liquidate the assets. So you can see with both the capital appreciation and the net vacation value, that $315,000 upfront investment nets over $750,000 in value over that term of the fund. So the fine print. So a lot of these questions have already been asked, and we've kind of addressed them as they come. Annual expenses, as we've mentioned, is $29.88 per unit. Well, for that first unit. And then you can return half of your usage to not pay that annual fee. I've sort of mentioned before a visit fee. So that visit fee is $495 to $895. That covers your variable operating expense while you're in residence. So we've again tried to be equitable. And if you take more trips, you will pay more visit fees. And in essence, that's covering your cleaning cost and property setup and utilities while you're in residence, which equates to essentially about $100 a night in that cost. Which brings us to the next question: what's my average cost per night? Well, the short answer is there's no per night cost. So unlike Inspirato, exclusive resorts, where you're paying a per night fee to use those residences, in our model there is no per night cost. Now, with the annual fee and the visit fees, there's an effective cost per night of around $92 to $480. That first example, the $92 per night is if you don't pay your annual fee. The $480 per night is if you do. I think some of you would say, well, then why would I pay my annual fee? It's cheaper if I don't. Well, the truth is you actually have higher IRR if you do pay the annual fee, because if you pay that $29.88 in annual fee, you're going to get more vacation value, and that vacation value will be significantly more than that $29.88. So most of our investors have elected to pay that annual fee, take more vacations, and get a higher return on investment for that. So how do I make money? Well, we sell the homes, you get your initial investment back, and then your pro rata share of 80% of the profits. So that was that example of the 1.5 return of capital. That's our stated goal. You also get to enjoy vacations worth over $350,000 in rental value for that 2-unit investment, as we walked through on that prior chart. Will the homes be available when I want? I discussed that earlier. Hopefully that was clear. And the answer is an unequivocal yes. The homes are available. Our investors are taking vacations with their family. Spring break is the most demanded week, but we have a very high success rate of actually executing that. And our investors that have requested spring break with their families, they're getting spring break with their families.
Yeah, over the 4 years we've been operating now, we've actually been able to accommodate people's requests 98.8% of the time. So we have a very high success rate at folks getting what they want.
This chart here talks about best-in-class experience and investment value. And so what we wanted to show here is this is an example of our North Star Ski In Ski Out residence. This property, that right-hand bar, it rents in peak ski season for $23.35 per night on VRBO rental. So if you were to book this house early in the year and try to get a peak ski week, it would cost the external market $2,300 per night. And then this example of if you don't pay your annual fees and you only paid the visit fee for that property, your effective cost per night would only be $128 per night. If you paid your annual fees to get more vacations, that effective cost per night with annual fees is $555. So you can see here that even by electing to pay your annual fees, you're getting significant value in that one extra week you might actually get from paying your annual fees. You'll be out of pocket $555 a night for a property that was on the market for over $2,300 per night. Off to the right there is a quote from one of our Platinum Fund investors, Andrew. What you'll see is we have a highly satisfied investors that have been really happy to let us deploy their capital and let them sit back and relax and take vacations through our portfolio.
And one of the things that really drives our satisfaction is hearing the stories from our investors that just have amazing experiences with family and friends through having access to this portfolio and network of homes. You'll see here on the left side, Brian, a financial advisor from Houston. He's one of our newest investors, and he really hit the ground running, having booked and taken several trips just in the first 6 months or so that he was involved with the fund. On the other side, you'll see Kevin, who's been with us for a while longer. He actually invested in our first fund, really enjoyed the experience, and doubled down and invested again in our second fund. So now he's an investor in both funds. And he's also had an opportunity to enjoy several of our homes around the world. These guys and others like them are really what makes it worth it for us, as we add new homes and manage the fund on a day-to-day basis.
Well, in addition, what I like is the validation that people that help other people deploy their capital have looked to us and have given us their capital to make investments. So we have a lot of smart money that's been funneled our way, and as a result, and then very satisfied investors.
So to make an investment, the next steps are: one, ask for our offering memorandum. That will go through more details of the fund and how it operates. The investment is $157,500. You'll need to have that money up front to move forward. You do need to be an accredited investor. And as you invest, what you get for that is access to not only the fund homes, but our previous fund, our affiliate networks. You'll get the bonus usage, and you get the enjoyment over the next 10 years, but then the 1.5x expected return on capital over the life of the fund. So there's multiple aspects to this investment, but just again, ask us for more details and we're happy to walk you through and answer any questions that you have. We're going to jump into a Q&A, and we invite everyone to add your questions through the chat, and we'll go through them one by one. The first question that I have coming up is, how do we make our money? And the answer is we have a 20% carry on the back end. So when we liquidate the properties, we first return the original investment back to each investor, and then the gains from the investment are split 80-20, with 80% going to investors and 20% to the fund manager. And the reason for this is to really align our interests so that we all win as we as the fund manager grow the value of the portfolio over time. Next question is, when will the new properties be available? So Turks and Caicos and St. John are going to be available for the high season pending our final due diligence. The additional acquisitions beyond that will be coming online as available, but we expect to have more homes available during the high season and more throughout this year in 2020.
The next question is, do you still have availability for 2020? The answer is yes. And even so, our current portfolio of our 16 residences still has tremendous availability across the winter season and the summer season. A lot of the spring break weeks were taken by initial investors during the reservation process. However, the good news is, with all these new property acquisitions that we're bringing into the pipeline, there'll be a whole new set of properties with spring break availability and holiday availability that will be opening up, that as new investors join, they'll also be able to get those most demanded weeks.
And we start to see our bookings pick up as we get farther into the year. So the sooner you join the fund, obviously, and there's still a lot of weeks to book, as John said. The question came: do investors have priority over third home and home away bookings that are done within 60 to 45-day windows? So I guess the way I would answer that is investors are able to go in and pick the weeks they want and book what they want, and we really then fill in the calendars next with renters and then next with third home and Elite Alliance guests to get the right balance between making sure you can get what you want and getting good utilization out of the assets. I think we're out of time now. We have more questions coming in, but what we'll do is we'll reach out to folks and answer those questions offline. We appreciate you taking the time today and look forward to talking to you more one-on-one in the future.
Yes, thanks everybody for joining.